Okay, so we're at number 3 in our installment, number 3 installment in our Science Olympiad Elastic Launch Glider reviews. This is the Freedom Flight kit. These are made by Dave Ziegler up in outside of Atlanta, and so we've done so far. You know, we've got all the build videos out for the Protege and Super Protege, so you know what's involved in building those. There's some sanding and whatnot. We've gone through the Scholastic glider from Retro RC, which requires a small amount of sanding. The instructions don't require you to do any. The Guru gliders, same story. Those build out super fast, not many parts at all in them. And now we are to this guy, which if you have done any research, heard any of the rumors that go around, these have a reputation for being a pain in the neck to build. It is a state-of-the-art airplane, and really is I mean, I've seen them flying in contests. They put in tremendous flight times, on par with Super Protege in some cases. But anyway, I'm gonna, instead of, this is supposed to be an unboxing, so let's put the camera down here and actually look inside. So, my packing slip, Now, I want to point out something I see already that is very important. This is not the case with the Guru gliders or even with the Retro RC one. This guy, you have full-size templates for just about everything, I think. Documentation is quite involved here. Okay, so it does not include templates for everything else that I can tell. And these are my parts for the Fancy Pants launcher. I ordered those as well. But anyway, these are pretty expensive kits, and they include everything. I mean, the documentation is quite involved. So we're gonna dive into this guy. I'm not gonna spend a whole bunch of time digging around in here, but we've got some carbon toe and various other parts in here, rubber bands, glue bottles, a piece of nylon, a sanding strip, and inside here is Rohacell for your flaps. More carbon toe. This almost feels like oh, I don't know. Almost feels like pre-preg or something. Wooden blocks. I'm just going through this randomly because yeah, polyester lacing tape, that's what that was over there. You've got your fuselages and all that. I mean, everything is definitely highly detailed. I don't know what these heavy balsa pieces are for, but anyway, we're going to get started, because I don't know how far I'll get into this build. I've been warned it is quite involved, and it's a lot more parts than anything else. Okay then. Very good documentation on what all you need. Very good documentation on what all the parts are. And you can have one. There you go. Okay. And okay. Detailed instructions for all that, and then they go into using Duco to attach carbon to the sides of the fuselage. So I gotta make sure. Alright, I'll come back in a little bit. Okay, we're gonna get rolling into this, and I'm gonna apply my take on it. And those of you who have access to the instructions for these, which is a lot of you because it's a popular kit, y'all are gonna get an adventure in Joshua Finn's take on how to build the Freedom Flight kit. So, I'm not even going to sand the burrs off of there. I don't think it's necessary. We will pop the little thing out of here, which forms a chamber for your balancing clay. And I'm going to grab some carbon fiber. And I'm going to install carbon fiber the wrong way. Why? Because I can. And that is a beautiful thing. I'll probably at some point find out this is something amazing like Toray M60J and just cry that I have that I've done anything with it other than use it to make F1D propellers. Anyway, so we're going to start by mounting this flush. Now, this is where I said we're doing it wrong. Dave says to use Duco cement, thinned Duco for this, which is something a few years ago I would have suggested. It is, after all, the method that Bill Gowan uses. Caleb, is that the method that you use, or are you just trying to tell us? Yeah, Alright, so, again, I'm not trying to build super light because I don't have to go win a competition this weekend. Well, I do, just not a Science Olympiad glider competition. So, and I've got CA burning my entire respiratory tract. Great. Feels lovely. Alright, so that is one done. Now, as I am doing this, I'm going to provide a personal take because I am an engineer and I get to do this. The boron yarn, you don't need to. The use of carbon on the sides is not completely necessary. As wanting to say Bill Gowan was talking with me about this, it could have been somebody else. Let's talk about Kurt Crumpet's not using any carbon on the sides of glider fuselages for high ceiling flying. So, I mean, I've got my share of gliders I built back in the day that used carbon on all four sides, but in recent years I've come to conclude that it really is not necessary on the sides unless you are flying a discus-launched, hand-launched glider, indoor glider, whatever, something like that. So, those of you who have been through the build process for this know that I am absolutely flying through this, and normally it takes, I would assess that this takes probably about 20 minutes per plane, if not more, and I have done it in under 5. Now, the instructions leave you off there. They don't say to put anything top or bottom, and you can't given the fuselage profile. And I think that's where you really need the carbon for crash survivability, not for anything else. But anyway, that's my take on it. You do at least have parts in here for 4 gliders, so pop all of that out of there, or try to. I guess my main worry is that the fuselage is 1/16 balsa, and that does make for it being kind of on the fragile side. So then we will mount this guy here. I don't know what language you're speaking, young man. I don't think he knows either. Alright. Mount that guy on there. Mount this over on this side. And notice I reversed what I was doing there, which was kind of dumb actually. Alright. So there we go. And then we'll look at my instructions, which have been thrown all over the place by a certain young man. And so we're going to take these little pieces right here that have a little cutoff on the end of them. And that is a wing saddle. And so out that will come. And so we'll mount this little piece on the back. We'll make a complete mess of it. And move that piece on the end. This is a, what he calls an incident stop. And then we're just going to mount this so that's flush with the little inflection point in the fuselage. Nothing a mess there. Nothing new. And bingo, fuselage is done. And now we will I've got all this shim stuff that goes on that confuses me. But bottom line is, I'm going to break out one more of these. I'll break out this little piece. And basically glue it in the middle of that, I think. I think I'm doing this right. Yeah, those are the incident shims. Wing mount, stop block. I don't know. The wood is looking odd and confusing to me. So I don't know, we'll figure that out. Yeah, that's not making sense to me at all. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing. We'll come back in a minute. Okay, I finally figured it out. This is indeed an incident shim. We'll deal with it in a little bit. What I'm looking for, and what are not labeled in the instructions that I can find, but it may just be because I'm not paying attention, because I'm blind as a bat, these little guys over here were what I was seeing in the photo there. And so we're going to drop those out. They mount on the sides on this piece because they're kind of serving like these dihedral cradles for the wing, which I'm going to be honest, not necessary. But again, it's designed to be highly adjustable and all that. Dave is very much a craftsman as far as how he wants his planes to be done, and that's his business. My wife is giving me static. What is the static? Just tell the camera what's the static.
I said it's worked for a long time.
Well, it has that. It certainly has that. Alright, so I'm gonna... Oh, this is a pain in the neck to sand. Nah! You're supposed to bevel this out. This tiny little piece. I'm not gonna lie, I make some pretty crazy stuff. That just is not real fun. I haven't had to sand little bits and pieces like this since I built scale models. That's why I gave up scale models. Not really why I gave up scale models, but it's a welcome excuse. Alright, so we're going to grab a couple of these little rubber bands, which for reasons that defy my comprehension, Science Olympiad says you cannot have any rubber bands on the airplane to hold the wing on during competition, which makes about as much sense as No, it doesn't. Yeah, it makes about as much sense as knife control in the UK. Yes, I did just say that out loud. If you want me to say it again, I will, because I just don't care. Nah, rubber band's going everywhere. Okay, so there's a rubber band on the back. Let's see if we can slide one on the front. Yay, slid one on the front. Yeah. I do want to be very clear. I think very highly of Dave Ziegler. And actually, in about a month and a half, I'll get to fly with him some, because we like to hang out when we can. Anyway, there's the assembled fuselage. Time to move on to the next step. Okay, this is where he gets into all his sanding of the wing airfoils and whatnot, which is where I'm about to just break literally every rule. First of all, I want to point out that the balsa in this kit is pretty amazing. Like, that is one of the most beautiful sheets of sea grain that I've gotten in a while. I have a feeling I know where he orders his wood from. I could be wrong, but it bears the markings of a certain supplier that I do recommend. And so I'm going to break out the matched pairs of wings per his instructions. Now he goes into this thing, like I said, of this sanding strategy. I'm literally going to intentionally not do it. Because, frankly, because I can. There's more than one way to do this. I'm going to just take this strategy. And there we go. You're going to really hate part one of what I'm going to do when I cut out the flaps, but I'm going to do it because I can. Yeah, my son agrees that it's a terrible travesty what I'm doing to this well-tuned design. It's because I'm in a hurry. Honey, would you mind go getting my razor plane? The new one. This is where I get to be an obnoxious jerk. This part. This is going to be fun. Watch what's about to happen. It smells so good. It's so nice. Perfect for a high quality glider kit. Look at that. Perfect. Now, as you'll note, this is completely in conflict with the instructions that give you brass sheets to make a this really nifty wing sanding rig, which a proper modeler would appreciate and use and all of that. But I'm not going to do that because I'm that jerk. I do want to go back over here, look at this. Okay, yeah, so we're going to sand down the trailing edge here. He says to carve in some upsweep as well. I'm not going to do that because I'm not. Taper this out here. And we'll give it one more swipe. And I'll give it a quick sanding. And I'm not going to put any of the carbon toe on it. And the reason I'm not is I don't believe that it is necessary. If you're trying to launch to a really high ceiling, it's justified, but only in that scenario. I'm also not going to sand the wingtip itself. I think it's plenty light. Makes a higher quality balsa than I can afford. I do now understand why Dave says that he works such long hours. There we go. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a set of I'm going to make one of the flaps for this. I'm not going to make both. And I'm going to give everybody a heart attack with how I'm going to do this. But that's how I'm going to do it. Because there's no cord limit on these or anything, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a little bit of extra wing area here. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use the wing itself as a template for cutting out this flap, rather than doing it correctly per the plans, which tell you to cut open these templates and use them, which is what a smart person would do. I'm going to claim that I'm a dumb old redneck, so I can get away with it. I will say this is some pretty exotic material right here. And that fits almost perfectly. A little error right here. It does kind of pain me to be putting this on something that's not a like super top end glider, but I did actually contemplate this for the Cat's Meow series at one point when I was having some real problems with them. There we go. Alright, I'm going to use that as a template to cut out the other one, and then we'll be back. Okay, so I've got a second flap over here. Now there are two ways you can do this. One is you could actually attach the flaps and then sand them down, or you can sand them beforehand. I may actually do a little bit of sanding beforehand. I've heard a lot of complaints about how hard this stuff is to sand, so we're about to find out. I'll mention there's discussion of using micrometers and whatnot in here to check the thicknesses. Y'all have seen me build enough airplanes to know I don't do that stuff. Which, mind you, the pros used to really be into that. I know one individual in particular. But also, I would imagine Lee Hines has put a micrometer on his share of gliders. I'm just paper sanding this down, trying to get it fairly thin at the back without going too thin up front, which I am. Alright, paper thin at the back. And I'm starting to cut in there, I gotta watch out for that. pretty close. One thing you do want to be very careful about is, as you get this stuff real thin, it does get a little on the fragile side, so you can tear it if you're not careful. So I'm writing very, very lightly with sanding block. You can repair it with CA though. It does not have to be foam safe in any way, because that's the beauty of this stuff. And I've got one little thick spot right here. It does get a little crumbly, so be careful there. Stuff is definitely really stiff. Not necessarily ideal in that regard. But anyway, at that point, it's a good fit. So we'll just, we'll go ahead and glue it in. And chunk, 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 maybe. There we go. Not the best sanding job I've ever done, to be completely honest, but it is what it is. And I'm doing this completely wrong here. Not cut the root as straight as I thought I did, so. Yeah, I'll find something eventually to dip it. Yeah, we'll just dip it in this C8 anyway. And chunk. There we go. And I did build this down a little bit. Alright, I'm going to sand the wingtips around here. Just to make it a little cleaner. And there you go. Alright, so we're going to make the right wing, and then we'll be back. Okay, so, yeah. That's a problem. I was sanding fairly carefully too. So, yeah, this stuff is as brittle as they warned you. However, I want y'all to watch this. Mind you, this is not an ideal situation. That's just all there is to it. And I'm really starting to cool towards Rohacell as a material for flaps on these. I would say it is one of the least machinable substances I've had the mispleasure of dealing with in terms of for flaps. Because, to be completely honest, this is the first time I've ever used it in this application, and it's pretty stinking brittle. That's just all there is to it. So, also, like literally every other type of foam, it seems to retard the hardening of CA. I don't really understand what's up with that. But it is what it is, I guess. So, at least I'm almost done with this airplane. I know it doesn't look like it, but I'm shockingly close to just wrapping up this build. Sorry for the interruption, but this review has had its share of such things. And I figured it was appropriate to run y'all through the dealings of...
Watch my video.
Not right now.
Yeah.
No, we're recording this video, Caleb. Yeah, there we go. The bottom line is, if you're doing this, you want to sand only really, really close to your fingers and really light pressure.
My dude.
And in case you can't tell, it is bedtime. At least bedtime for little boys.
Oh, watch my video.
Yeah.
Daddy, go on.
Almost down. Sheet paper thin. I'm just breathing a huge sigh of relief of the fact that I did not use this material for flaps on production aircraft. Because, yeah, sometimes.
We watched this video.
I understand the logic, and it is an amazing miracle space age material, but... no sir, Caleb, don't knock the camera over. Alright, close enough. Close enough for government work or J&H Aerospace builds. See what I did there? Alright. So flap going in. Ouch. CA hardened hot. Very hot. Okay. That actually secured itself rather well. So I'm going to try to get a little bit of curvature in here. I'm going to probably fail. This stuff does not take a set very easily. That is both good and bad. So you could heat it to make it take a set, but you would probably run into some other problems. Bottom line is, this airplane with its flaps being this incredibly stiff is actually just barely an actual flapper, because those are really stiff. And to be honest, I've sanded them quite thin. That's not much curvature, but it's going to have to do. So, I know there are sanding jigs for this in the kit, but it's getting late and I actually have to make flaps for proteges, so. Because, you know, I've got lots of orders for them. Alright, so when I set this to what I think is about the dihedral these are typically supposed to be at. it goes. There we go. Somehow I got the length of some flaps wrong or something or another. It's probably that one wing is longer than the other, who knows. But there we go. And then you can just mount this guy on its cute little wing mount right here. And now the side shim's purpose actually does make a little sense because that allows it to clear the rubber band. So I at least understand why that's done, even though I think there's a better way to do it. Alright. And there we go. Alright, I'll be right back when I figure out how to do the tail. Okay, so looked at the instructions. Basically, you attach the rudder so it's kind of overhanging that gap there, which is cool. They say to offset it for the left, so you do a right-left launch. I don't follow instructions well. That's all I'm about to say. So I am hearing static from my wife. I don't know exactly what she said, but it wasn't nice. Alright. If you're looking for a team player in your model design, I may not be quite what you were looking for. Alright. Of course, he talks about centering this up and whatnot. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Want to do it right?
See, I'm getting static over there. Goodness. Alright, so there is the Freedom Flight Kit. If you can't tell, I have done 3 of these reviews now tonight. And I'm tired of reviewing airplanes. That right flap is not wanting to do its thing. So there we go. That's more like it. Alright, so CG. I think CG actually may be pretty close. Let's find out. Because he's got time to read where the instructions say to put it. Alright.
Is the one competition?
There's that. Well, it's definitely, yeah, wait a minute. Remember we got that incidence wedge in there. We got really, really rigid flaps, so I'm just going to take the incidence wedge out. Maybe. We'll just stick that there. Let's try again. Sorry.
Payback for all the grief I've been giving you, is that it?
Totally. Okay, it still is stalling all over the place, and I don't know where the CG is actually supposed to be. Let's try one more time, because I see that the wing had shifted forward, so let me make sure it's not just that. Nope, it's not just that. And thunk. Alright. I'll stick some clay in it. I'll be right back. Alright, there's some clay in it. Let's see now. And a little nose heavy, actually. But we'll go ahead and do a little bit of a, I guess you'd say a dive test before I go digging that out of there. Yeah, it's pretty close. It may actually benefit from an incident shim. So. But you know what? I don't do incident shims. I go in here and I do that, which is kind of why he wants you to do incident shims. But we're going to end up having to wash in the left wing a little bit too. Much better. Thunk. It is nose heavy. So we'll dig a little bit of clay out of it, and then I'll come back. Alright, take some clay off. We're a little nose heavy yet. More clay off the nose. Yeah, that's remarkably good. I will say that. Alright, we'll give it one more test throw. And then the rest of this review has to be completed in St. Luke's. Yep. Okay. That's just me not throwing it with enough right bank. Alright. So my wife tells me that I absolutely must give you the disclaimer that this is how I build it and you should follow the instructions. Whatever. Whatever, man. It's my build video. Here's my bottom line. I don't think you need the carbon on the wings. I really don't. This thing is stiff enough as it is. If you're flying under like a 50-foot ceiling, and yeah, you're going to need it to get as high as possible. But otherwise, that is a lot of work. The wood on these airplanes is strong enough to do the job. It does not need that much strength, and it's a lot of extra complication. I have a feeling also this may be underweight, so I'm going to come back in a minute after I weigh a whole bunch of these. Okay, so we're going to start off here weighing the Guru glider, which I haven't weighed, and it is 4.6, so it's a bit of a porker. And then our Freedom Flight glider came out to 3.35, so underweight. So you could definitely make up for that with carbon or what have you. Whatever you want to do. Which is why my wife keeps heckling me about all this. So 3.3 something. Ah! There goes the clay. There goes the glider. Still put you 3.49, yada yada yada. By the time I put a dab of glue on here, it'll be at minimum weight. Which actually, that's some irony here. This will be the only one of my Science Olympiad gliders I've built that's at minimum weight. Because I really don't try that hard, because I'm not flying them in contests. So I don't have to sand everything hyper thin. But I know some proteges have come out disgustingly light. 3.503, so there we go, minimum weight glider. For what it's worth, there was a protege that came out to, I think, 2.9. So, just to throw that out there. But anyway, there's your build, sorta, review, something or another for the Freedom Flight Science Olympiad Elastic Launched Glider. Is that a mouthful or what? But I'm just securing what I did here. But bottom line is, my method resulted in a fairly enjoyable, quick build. The Rohacell is every bit the pain in the neck that you've heard it is to sand. So there is that. But other than that, very nice flying little airplane. The quality of the contents in the kit is phenomenal. There's no arguing there. In terms of the the quality of the content, this is the best there is. But yeah, it's a little bit of a pain to build, so it's a good airplane. You're not going to come out with something that doesn't fly well. There's definitely that. So we'll see you at the gym.